Hello guys, it's been probably about a week or two. Today first off I wanted to make a video comparing my beard now to my beard about a week or two ago. Secondly, I realized I've forgotten to make some videos, so I figured I'd make one. And thirdly, I've just been thinking about some shit and I want to talk about it. Next to a road, and because all roads are next to sidewalks, you're gonna have to hear a lot of cars. A memory came up in my head today. When I worked at the jail, and one of my old sergeants told me somebody had gotten in trouble for saying something inappropriate, and one of my old sergeants started laughing and he said I can hurt you, I can punch you in the face, I can tase you, I can pepper spray you, if I have to, I can shoot you, but I can't hurt your feelings. And that just kind of sums up how I feel about the entire world. I mean, we constantly have situations to where you can get screwed and somebody can do something bad to you, and people will care more about your feelings in the interaction. I remember one time when I was arguing with the major, I had to literally watch my mouth and be careful with what I was saying. Sorry, they're doing construction on this road, but the moment that I would say a curse word or anything that I said before that, like, didn't matter. How could you say that? You're not supposed to say that. And like, people just would freak out as if like you didn't make a good point. Like, I could sit here and explain to somebody in that kind of environment, right? Like, hey, you're doing a wrong thing, and like the way you're doing it is making the situation worse. But like, if you say fuck at any point, people are like, oh my God. And they just completely forget everything you said before, because people look for that out of actually having to take accountability and responsibility. And one of the ways that our society currently does that is through image. And that's why I criticize image so much. That's why I criticize people who care so much about how things look. I don't like things that are too polished. I don't like things that are just a little bit too dishonest. And I don't like the fact that a lot of times we have to pretend. You know, you might pretend that your job is more important. These fucking cars are not stopping, Jesus Christ. Anyway, you have to pretend like your job is more important than it actually is. Or the problem you're dealing with is more important than it actually is. And you have to take it seriously. But you can't get anxious about it. Even if it's a serious issue, you can't have any anxiety or anything that might introduce any negativity anywhere. And out of sheer curiosity, I asked my new boss, we were just sitting there and nothing was really happening. I asked my new boss and I said, hey man, can I ask you a random question? He said, sure. And I said, you know, what do you, like, I'm writing a book about evil, I've been doing a lot of research on it. What do you think evil is? Because I feel like I keep getting a different answer. And this guy tells me, he says, evil is everywhere. And then he just kept talking about people being negative. Like, negativity is evil. And like, part of what he said made sense. He said, you know, like, some people want to be negative and they don't feel good unless they make other people negative, which, yeah, it's a pretty shitty thing to do. But evil is such a strong word for that. And to be honest with you, like, it's so oddly specific. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One, he really doesn't like people that are negative and really doesn't like people that complain and make his life harder. So everybody who thinks something is evil is just anybody who thinks anything that negatively affects them is evil. But also, like, it really shows how much we care about how things look. Like, it's almost as if society wants you to be punched in the face and smile about it. You know, like, I have a job where I'm able to pay bills, but ultimately, a lot of our work situations kind of suck. A lot of our political situations suck. A lot of people's opinions fucking suck. A lot of things that are very important that need to be discussed and hashed out and dealt with aren't happening because we only want these discussions to happen in our little safe spaces. And then I think about George Carlin, you know? I think about how he talks about euphemisms, and he says, you know, how shell shock became automotive exhaustion, became post-traumatic stress disorder. And he said, you know, the language that we use just keeps making words longer, and how the soul and everything that expresses the feeling behind our words is ultimately stripped so that nobody really gets upset or offended when they talk about it. And then he says that he thinks that a lot of Vietnam veterans probably would have gotten a lot more help if we still call it shell shock. And that's honestly what I think. I think it's people like that that are the reason why I'm so important. It's so important for me to be blunt and to be honest. And, you know, I find negativity to be such a weird thing to focus on because it's like, not everything is positive. If everything was positive, then there wouldn't be any problems. But there are problems, and there are shitty things. And yeah, you should be grateful, but I think it's kind of funny how most people who try to tell you to be positive, try to tell you that everything's okay, try to convince you that everything is fine, are the people that benefit from you thinking that. Like, oh, I've been working really hard and, you know, I'm struggling to pay my bills. And I keep telling people that I'm a valued employee, and I keep getting raises, even if I do get raises. You know, like, I still can't afford anything. Like, the houses are too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, you're just being negative. You can do it. You might have to just struggle a little bit. You might just have to work harder a little bit. Just keep your head up. Like, I don't have to respect your feelings, and I don't have to respect your opinions. I don't have to respect you saying that shit to me, because to be honest with you, I don't feel comfortable buying a house in anywhere in this market today unless if I can pay for the whole thing in cash. I don't want a 6% fucking interest rate. I don't want to fucking pay more than what I'm paying now and struggle even more to pay bills. It's just constantly being stuck. You know, I understand it's important to try to add positivity to things, but at the same time, we shouldn't be lying to ourselves about whether or not something is more positive. The only time we're willing to acknowledge harsh realities is when we're criticizing other people. It's when we have TED Talks and we're talking about people facing problems and people not facing the bad parts of their personalities and not doing enough to actually be able to sustain themselves. And it's like, okay, we say that, but then every time we talk about it in the opposite, it's negative talk. It's complaining. It's, you're being a bad influence. You're being this, you're being that. Some people even go so far as to say you're being evil. And it's like, well, I mean, what is evil if it's not just the opposite of what you think is fucking good? Like, I'm gonna have to move at the end of this year because my landlord is going to increase my rent at the end of this year. I already know they will. It's not a surprise. But also, there are going to be other apartments in my apartment complex that will be almost, if not more, than $100 cheaper than my apartment. That will be similar. That'll have better equipment. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? And people say that I should sue them. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, the complaining and the negativity is pointing out actual problems and actual rights that are being violated. So, like, yeah, you kind of need to be able to have that. You need to be able to complain. You need to be able to point out problems. And to be honest with you, people will also tell you that you need to have a backbone to keep people from fucking you over. It's only bad to be negative if you're not willing to do anything about what you're negative about.